Hello, beautifuls. How are you doing? Happy Thursday, I think it is. For those of you that don't know me, I am Zach, and I'm happy to be here today. And I wanted just to share a little bit of wisdom that came through to me this morning in my meditation, that I wish I had this wisdom when I was going through some hard times, even though I believe I had the wisdom, but I didn't quite listen to the wisdom because it probably didn't penetrate in my brain at the moment. But I wanted to just talk about emotions for a minute, especially right now. We're all going through a lot of different emotions, just what's going on in the world, our own personal life. It could be our career, it could be friendships, it could be relationships, it could be a lot of stuff. But what is truly involved is emotions. We're just emotional beings. And when we don't deal with our emotions, we start to accumulate a lot of unnecessary feelings within ourselves that may come out in a way that people don't understand what you're going through. Now, 2020 brought on a lot of anger for me. A lot of anger for me. So I had to take a seat back, and really the formula that the universe gave me this morning was exactly what I realized the formula that I used in order to get past all the dark emotions that I had to deal with in order to heal any unresolved issues that I was going through, any childhood traumas that were coming up, any past life situations that were coming up. And boy, that's where a lot of my trauma and anger came from, along with many other things. So today I want to just talk about this 4-step process that you could literally use for anything that you're going through. I went through a lot of depression in my life. Using this formula could help you get out of that dark hole, out of that underground world. Okay, so this is something that even if you're in a relationship, you could use it in regards to healing your relationship, or maybe walking away from your relationship because maybe you're done being with one another. That cosmic contract is over. You've done what you're supposed to do, and it's time to move on. So there's many different things that you could use this 4-step process. And the longer I sat with this in my meditation, the more I realized that this is a great formula for coming out of any darkness, for coming out of any emotional disruption, just like I have many times in my life. And now, even though there's these strong energies that are coming through to us right now, and the underground, which I call Satan, is lingering in the air and really getting to man's mind, getting to man's emotions, getting into relationships, because that's how the underground world works. It's not seen into our human eye, and if we're not fully developing our spiritual self, we really cannot recognize what's happening in the unseen world. And trust me, it is working 24/7, regardless if you want to believe it or not. It is happening right before our unseen eyes. So I want to talk about how to deal through emotions, mostly about depression, anxiety, panic, insecurity, and all that stuff. Just because I've been down that road of depression, I know what it feels like. Man, I've cried and cried and cried. I'm going to try not to cry for those that are going through it right now, because this is a hard time to deal with depression. I can't imagine if I was going through a depressive moment right now, what I would feel like, how I would deal with it. Even though we come up stronger, we come up roaring, we come up a renewed self. So there's just so many aspects. So I want to ask you the question: what is it that triggers you in order to create an emotional state within yourself? So what triggers create an emotional effect that create a reaction towards yourself? So for me, when I look at the trigger, it was what was happening throughout humanity, throughout society, within the government, within lies. So that was a trigger for me. My emotion was anger. So when you have a trigger, what emotion is it bringing up? So what is your trigger, and what emotion is it bringing to the surface? For some people, it could be depression, it could be fear, it could be self-doubt, it could be uncertainty. So those are a lot of the emotions that are staying with us in this present time right now. Regardless of where you are in the world, you are dealing with something like this. So we have our trigger, the emotion that's coming up out of our system. Please don't use positive vibes to get you past this, because positive vibes is not going to get you through this. It's just a It's just a band-aid to everything. Heal through your emotions, okay? So you're going to have an emotional experience. What is the outcome? So what is your reaction in that emotion? How do you react in that emotion? So when you have a trigger, you have an emotion. So my trigger was government, was lies, was all this stuff that was going on that I could see in the seen world and the unseen world. It was watching man's fear grow and develop. My emotion was anger, and then my reaction was not what I really liked, but was an outburst of self, right? So when we realize this 3-step process, or you could say 4-step, because it's the trigger, the emotion, the outcome, and then the reaction. So what is the trigger that you are experiencing right now? What is the emotion that's coming up for you? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it resentment? Is it anger? I'm sure there's a lot of stuff like that going on. Is it depression? Is it anxiety? Is it panic attacks? There's a lot of that going on. Is it suicidal thoughts? Please don't take your life. This is not what you should be doing. Your life is too precious to be taken away. Everything is solvable. This is why I'm giving you this process, okay? I don't want to read about any more suicides. My heart breaks when I read that. So what is the emotional outcome that's coming from that trigger? It could be a lost job that's your trigger. It's your failing relationship that's a trigger. It's not having enough money that's a trigger, okay? Then your outcome. Then the outcome, then your emotion, and then your outcome, which is the way you could be living right now, what's happening in your situational stuff, and what is the reaction that is causing you, right? Again, that could be a reaction of depression. It could be outbursts like myself, what I was going through. It could be combating your own self, because that's what we do, is that we have these outbursts, but really it's an inside conflict that's going on. So figure this process out for yourself and see what you resolve within your life. I could tell you, when you sit back and reflect, especially now with retrograde coming up, retrograde is going to bring up a lot of our emotional, as I call them, demons, in order for us to heal through this process. All of the light right now is being transmuted and the darkness is coming to light. If you haven't seen that or haven't recognized that, is because you're not doing your own inner work to realize the other person's darkness that's coming to light. Okay, let's not ignore it. This is not about being opinions or anything like that. This is about really recognizing your sovereignty, your self-worth, your confidence, your boldness, your fierceness, your unstoppableness, your I amness. And when you get to that I amness, you are not depressed, you are not anxious, you are not lack, you are not limitation. You are abundant, you are joyful, you are happy. You are creative, right? You are life. You are life force. So look at the triggers that are coming up that cause an emotional disruption in your life and recognize your reaction. And from that point, that reaction, you'll now work backwards to create the emotion, right? And then the trigger, if the trigger shows up again, you will now have a knowingness of how to deal with things so much differently. So now when I see the government's lies and disruption going on, I'm just like, okay, here we go again. It doesn't cause a sense of anger anymore because I've healed through that anger. That's why I say don't put a positive vibe on it, because that stuff doesn't work. Heal through the process. Okay, so really just allow yourself to grow and evolve, whatever it is in your life. This could be wounds that are coming up from your childhood, like I said, from your past life, from an unsolved relationship, from past unsolved relationships. It could be coming up from many different angles, as we do hold a lot of energetic frequencies within ourselves because we are constantly compacting things. We do not deal with things in this world because we become embarrassed. You're welcome, Jessica. We become embarrassed to say, I am depressed. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'm having an off day. I am depressed. I feel anxious. I am scared. There's nothing wrong with that. heal through your emotions in order to find a better tomorrow. And if you don't heal through these emotions, you're going to continue packing it down, and that soil is going to get harder. It's going to become clay. And then that's when this other disruption starts showing up, and more disruption showing up. So take the shovel, pull all that gunk out of you, and really give yourself permission to go through this process, to recognize what you've been holding on to within yourself for so long because maybe of an embarrassment or a shame situation. I'm too ashamed to speak about that. I'm embarrassed for what I've done. I've had many of these moments. Don't allow anyone to hold you back. Don't allow anyone to tell you what to say, what to do, who to be, how to become. Be true to you. Know you. At the end of the day, when you know you, those around you that are supposed to be there will be there, and those that do not accept you for your newness, your I amness, then they will magically just disappear from your life. And that's okay too. Bless everyone, regardless if it's your enemy or your lover. Bless them, because at the end of the day, you are blessing thyself. And you open up your heart to see so many other opportunities that come to you. When you get rid of all the lower vibrational tones, which I call Satan's work, you start to rise up to a different light to recognize the truth of who you are. So recognize your trigger, recognize the emotion that trigger creates. What is your reaction? When you go from your reaction, look at the different emotions that come up to the surface. When you work through the emotions coming up to the surface, do I like myself? Do I not like myself? What do I need to change? Then that trigger becomes obsolete and dissolved. All right, y'all. I just felt like I had to say this because these are meditations that I have with myself, and I need to start sharing with everyone out there because I know what's going on in the world within my heart. Even though I don't watch the news, I connect to the energies. And right now we have a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, with retrograde coming up, full moon I think is coming up. Learn how to work through these energies of self. The universe brings all this external energy for us to work through our own self in order to be able to dissolve and connect to a higher consciousness, to our higher self. Until we connect again, have a good day. Bye for now.